Good morning, Unity Palo Alto. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We rise up. Are you ready to rise up again? I heard last week we were rising, yes? Boy, I heard so many people after the service come up to me and say how much they loved and appreciated that Easter experience. There were some who had never seen it before and they were just lifted up, and there were others who it's their favorite service of the year, and just that experience of Easter Sunday and that anticipation and that intention. It was just such a wonderful experience. And the question that question that came up a few times was, how do we bring this with us tomorrow and the next day and the next day? How do we keep that feeling of being risen up alive in us? And so today we're going to talk about a few small steps, a few keys to help us move into that experience every day. It's very interesting because, what we experienced last Sunday, and you may have experienced this in other events, other activities, where you felt that sense of enthusiasm and excitement and joy. We had a state of consciousness where we were just really excited. Have you ever experienced that in your life? All right, most people are nodding. Good. A few hands raised. We've had that state experience. That's a state of consciousness, a state of where we're at. And yet, how many of us have come the next day afterwards needing a vacation from our state of consciousness, needing a time of rest, needing a time of looking at things a little differently, or wanting to experience that over and over again. And we come back to what we might call a stage of consciousness. And that's where we're currently at. That's our baseline, right? That's our equilibrium, if you will, when we're just kind of naturally resting. That's our stage of consciousness. And we call it a stage because it too moves. The state of consciousness is what we experience in the moment, and it's our excitement, it's our enthusiasm. Our stage is where we're at equilibrium and baseline. So the question is, how do we keep that energy flowing the next day, the next week, or 3 weeks from now? Of course, we can have an Easter Sunday every Sunday. How many are up for that? I'm not raising my hand. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of energy. And then it becomes just everyday, ordinary. And so we have things in our lives that are, spaced out on purpose so that we can feel those experiences on that particular day or in that particular moment. And the question, of course, how do we make this and how do we bring this into us so that that state of consciousness that we experience becomes our more equilibrium? It's really the embodiment of that experience and what we talked about last week. So what I want to share today are 3 simple keys, small steps that we can take every day. Because we don't transform in a moment. Have you noticed? We may have our aha moment, our enlightenment moment, and then how do I get there again? I've had some very profound meditation experiences and affirmative prayer experiences, and the drive is always, I want to feel that way all of the time. And so why don't we? Well, it comes down to these small steps. The first one is intention and commitment. That's the first step. And they go hand in hand. Now, Wayne Dyer says, our intention creates our reality. In the book, I forget which book it was about an intention, but the name is slipping my mind at the moment. But he says, our intention creates our reality. What we intend to do in life is how we're looking at the world. But it's not always true. How many of us have set some intentions and then the next day said, well, I had the intention of doing it, but ... So intention is important because it creates our statement of, I'm going to do this. This is what I intend to do. And there are a couple reasons why it doesn't stick with us. One is it aligned with your highest good? And are you a beneficial presence? Because sometimes our ego's involved in this, and our ego wants to make it more competitive. or make it about someone else. And so now we're in a competitive environment. We're no longer a beneficial presence, right? We're competing against someone else's beliefs and energies and things because we want someone else to be the way we are. So if we raise that intention or shift that intention away from the things and conditions and people outside of us and back inward to how do I intend to show up? Last Sunday, I talked about that as our authentic self, our authentic consciousness, that consciousness that is of God, that one presence and one power that is active in all the universe is in you, like the ocean is in the wave, and you are in it, like the current is in the ocean. There is no separation. God is. Plain and simple. And so what we need to get beyond that is first make sure that our intentions are aligned with that one presence and power, with that our intentions are aligned with being a beneficial presence, of being that authentic self as best I can today. And then the next step is, are you committed to it? Are you really willing to do it, or are they just words that we're giving lip service to? I know the right words to say. I read it in the book. I'm saying them every day, and yet I'm not really committed to living that experience. I'm not really committed to living that faith, that expressing that faith in front of all of the challenges that come along, especially the day after that peak experience. Maybe I just need a break. Are you committed when the going gets tough? Or are you stifled by old conditionings? Are you stifled by your old fears? So commitment allows us to move beyond that. Now, David Owen Ritz, he is the author of The Keys to the Kingdom. It's a class that I'm going to be teaching in a couple of weeks. And these are three of the first three keys of living into that experience of oneness, living into that experience of abundance, living into that experience of being your authentic self. And he says, commitment is a firm and irrevocable decision to a new course of action. No matter how daunting the obstacles may seem, in order to achieve a worthy goal or realize a new potentiality, to realize a new potential for you, to raise your baseline, to raise your equilibrium. And it takes commitment because it's not always easy, because life happens. And after we've been to those wonderful events, right, we get back to the daily routine. And so we have to remember that our intention is to live that highest good, to be that beneficial presence in the world every day, and to come from that experience, no matter how daunting the obstacles may seem, in order to achieve a worthy goal or to realize your greater potential. Because each of us has a higher level. We get to level up. There's no peak. You're not capped. You know, I like gaming. I'm a gamer. I like Call of Duty, and you get stuck at 250 for a long time until the next season. Anybody here know what I'm talking about? No, nobody knows that. No. Never played a game in my life. Okay, let me take it back a little bit. Have you ever played Monopoly? Raise your hand if you've ever in your life played Monopoly. You know that you have to upgrade your properties with a house, yes? You have to level up your properties with 2 houses, yes? And when you get 4 houses, you can create what? A motel, and then you're just waiting. That's what we're talking about. That's the intention, to continually level up. That's what's within you. And the pull within you is spirit. When you feel yourself being pulled in a direction, that spirit's saying, come this way. This is the energy. When you feel you're being pushed, well, that's because your ego's trying to drive the bus. Let go of ego and allow that authentic consciousness to take over. Let go and let God. So our first step is creating an intention and having a commitment to it, a commitment to stick to it. The second is our vision. Now, the master teacher in Luke chapter 12, verse 32 is quoted in saying, "Do not be afraid, for it's your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom." This is in the middle of a wonderful statement of, don't be afraid. Let go of that, because that fear within us is what's preventing us from moving forward or staying on that path of intention. And that fear within us is simply a cover. It masks our belief system. We have a thought. Our thought turns into a belief. Our beliefs turn into our habits. And so when we're living from that old, outdated, unconscious BS belief system, we're being driven by that aspect of us that doesn't believe in the intention, that doesn't believe that I'm worthy, that doesn't believe that I'm good enough, that doesn't believe that God is present in my life. And so whenever you see that fear, it's a wonderful warning sign of, hey, there's something behind it. And what's usually behind it is some outdated belief about ourselves that we picked up along the way. It's our baggage that we that we picked up along the way and carry with us. And so we have to let go of that baggage every day. And so often our vision is distorted by that baggage. The idea that God is everywhere present and it is God's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. In metaphysics, we know that we're always one with the infinite flow of life, love, and wisdom. We're one with that divine intelligence. And so we can draw upon that to create something magnificent. We're one with that divine wisdom within us, so we can listen to that still small voice of our intuition, have that gut feeling, and know this is the right way to go because it's feeling good and it's pulling me in that direction. And we're aligned with divine love, that harmonizing, healing, prospering energy of spirit that allows us to be present to one another, to express that love into the world, and to be a beneficial presence. And that's why when you realize this, there is no separation. It just is. It's very simple, but our BS makes it very complicated for us. Our BS gives it all kinds of conditions and all kinds of things that we need to do in order to achieve it. And so our vision quite often becomes about doing things. I'm worthy if I do this. I'm worthy of love, or I receive love if I help someone. Now, I know this very well because I am a master fixer. For a long time in my life, I realized that I am here to fix people or their problems. It manifested itself in high tech, so I was the guru at the computer. I could help anyone fix their problem. And then I graduated into the software industry, and I was creating software solutions to fix problems. And that's all good. But at the end of the day, when you achieve that goal, what do you have left? You get that state of consciousness, yes, I did it. And then the next day, because we're so focused on the doing, on the outer achieving, that we give our sense of self over to whether I achieve or not, over to whether I support or help someone or not, especially those who are in my life that desperately need fixing. And I can give you the list after the service. We want to control what happens out there, ignoring what's happening in here. And so the first step in this creating our vision is first to know God. Now in unity, whatever your word for God is, it could be divine mind, it could be the universe, it could be infinite intelligence or isness, whatever word that you hold for that which is everywhere present, for the allness of life, love, and wisdom, whatever word that we're using is a limitation on it. We know that. But we allow that idea to permeate within me. So I need to know what that means to me. I need to bring it inside of me and allow that energy to flow through me. In Matthew chapter 6, verse 33, the master teacher said, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness, and all of these things will be given to you as well." Seek first that consciousness of knowing your isness, knowing your oneness with that infinite intelligence. Seek first knowing that that love, that energy is within you, constantly flowing. There's nothing you need to do to earn it or get it except to let go and let God, to let it be, to accept it, to have an intention to express it, to allow it to flow through you, and then have the commitment when it gets really tough to be that beneficial presence even amongst the very hard discussions in your life. So seek first to experience that. And that's going to change over life. You're going to level up in your understanding of the infinite, because we're all coming at it from a very constrained idea of it. So just open yourself up to new expressions to know a greater level of God. And then unstick your vision, right? Half of the equation may be what happens out there. Half of the equation may be how we're experiencing what we're achieving and what we're getting in life. But the other half of the equation is what's inside of you. The other half of the equation is, how am I being? What's my vision for being? So I'll give you an example here. I back in my older life, in between there somewhere, I went to a Tony Robbins convention. Anybody go to a Tony Robbins thing? It's fantastic. I loved it. It was great. The first one I went to, you're up, you're dancing, you're singing, you're jumping, you're elevating your state of your body. The sensations around you are all lifting you up, and you come out of there thinking you could conquer the world. And then what happens the next day? So I went to one of these, and I thought it was fantastic, and I bought the tapes, and I thought the tapes were good. My brother bought the tapes, and he said that they were good well before me. Does everyone know what a tape is, a cassette tape? I'm just checking. I think it's different now. And then, and I started with the big action plans, and I started with all the activities, and I started growing, and it did level me up to some extent. But at the end of the day, when I was accomplishing whatever it was that I was out there to accomplish, I still felt a sense of lacking of who I was. It didn't lift me up from a statement of beingness. I didn't know myself better. I knew how to get stuff done and help people more effectively, and that was good. But what was missing in my vision was not the doing or how things are going to show up in the world, but how I am going to experience it in the world. You see, our vision can hold that idea of what life is going to be like. How will I experience this divine intelligence? What will it feel like for me? What would it be like if I experienced a set of joy every day? What would life be like if I woke up every morning with intentional gratitude, the intention to see gratitude all throughout the day, and I envisioned myself as being grateful? How would my life change if that was my vision? Seek first that idea, that kingdom within you, that consciousness of oneness, to live and breathe and move in that beingness of joy, of gratitude, of faith. Beyond hope, the power within you, faith, to manifest in the world. Beyond that, zeal and enthusiasm for life. What would life be like if you were showing up and living that way, and that was the vision that you were holding? If you seek that first, everything that you step into, all of the outer things, there'll be challenges, there'll be struggles, but you're meeting it from a completely new perspective. Our vision is 100% filtered through our lens of consciousness, filtered through our belief system, filtered through our sense of not enough, filtered through our sense of, well, I want to do this, but, ... fill in the blank, and I should, ... fill in the shame. Whatever those things are that are preventing you, that's that belief system that it's just time to let it go. I went to another Tony Robbins concert, several years later, convention, thing, whatever he calls them, a few years later, and it wasn't as good. It wasn't as good. And it had nothing to do with him. It had to do with me. Because I had a lens of an experience that I wanted. And I had expected it. My expectations were set over here by me, and yet I was coming through it from that idea of, well, yeah, but it didn't really work last time, whatever working was. So our expectations that we put on ourselves is part of that intention. I learned this very early with my middle son. If you set very clear expectations, he will live up to them. And then we explained to him, if you're going to miss the expectation, reset our expectation, in advance. This is a great lesson for anybody who knows another person. Anybody know another person? Yeah, because you're expecting something out there, right? There's some unhidden, undisclosed expectations that we all have for one another. But when you make that open, when you set that expectation and you have the intention to do that, and when, things aren't going the way they plan, because guess what? They don't all the time. You reset our expectations. So we trained our kids to do this, and they do it better than we do, unfortunately. We hear about it all the time. Yeah, but Mom, you said, oh, dang. Yeah, but things have changed. Yeah, but you didn't reset our expectations. Son of a. So commitment, having the commitment to live to our own expectations, our own practices. Being stuck, being in the state of everything we are experiencing and doing is the beingness. Being in the state of what's happening around us. And when we decide that we can let go of that idea and really step into something greater, we are lifted up. David Owen Ritz says, growth and evolution are part of the divine plan. Since the beginning of the time, Spirit has been unfolding itself into greater and greater expressions because Spirit is the essence and substance of all that is. Everything in the universe is engaged in a continual process of evolution into a higher order and state of being. Spirit is joyously exploring the infinite potential by means of its creation. And that is you. So as we step into that idea that the universe is always growing and always expanding, consciousness as a whole is always growing and always expanding. Stepping into that, knowing that, that's what we're here to do, makes it a little bit easier when things get rough. It's like, okay, things are a little tough right now. I can step into that anyway and still hold the vision of how I want to experience life. And I may not experience it every time, but each time I go back to that vision and that intention, I'm resetting and regrounding myself in my baseline. I'm not being dragged down anymore into that consciousness of victim or blaming or shaming or guilting. So just simple step of holding the vision of how you want to be, how you want to experience life. In all that you do will make a big difference in how you do life. So as you envision your state of being, what would life be like from that higher self that you already know you are? What would your life be like from being a beneficial presence? What would it feel like to experience that higher potential? Not do it, but really experience it. And how will you show up based on that? Intention and commitment, vision. And the third point, making space within our consciousness. Now, as I've said along the way, things come up. And our belief system gets in our way. So how do we let go of that belief system and start to create a new one? And many people talk about how when we're going through some experience, the idea comes up, the words come up, it's hard. It's hard to forgive. It's hard to let go. It's hard to be that beneficial presence sometimes. It's not hard, except for our unwillingness makes it hard. Our unwillingness to let go of the fear, let go of the struggle, let go of the frustration, let go of the anger. So let go so that we can be more present to that experience of life within us. Our old stories become thoughts, become our belief systems, become our unconscious habits. So all along the way, there's change. There's something that we need to let go of in order to live into that evolution within our own consciousness. There's something that we need to let go of to grow. So what are you willing to let go of? All of the baggage that we picked up along the way, all of those things we can let go of. And it just takes one step at a time. You're not going to go from, bitterness to complete bliss around something. Because we have to let it go time and time again. It's an ongoing, everyday process because we all have stuff. If you don't have stuff, come see me. I want to know what your trick is. That sounds fantastic. So during Lent, we had this 40 days of letting go and letting God. 40 days of letting go of bitterness, of letting go of anger and frustration and negative thinking, and allowing that creative, constructive power to move through us. Some people said it was so good they're going to start over again at day 1 because it's an ongoing thing. It's an everyday practice. Whenever our human ego gets nudged, it's just time to say, it's okay, buddy. It's like, come here, little John, get on my lap. I'm going to give you a little hug. You got this. Yeah, that was a mistake. Yes, that didn't work. Yes, that was a failure, whatever that may look like. And now we get to begin again. So let's get going. So our daily practice, when we start to do this, letting go, we start to become the observer. And then we can start seeing when our thoughts are heading in that direction. When we become the observer of our thoughts, simply by letting go, it's like, oh, there it is again. There's that resentment. I see it. I'm going to let it go. In Unity Old School, we used to call those denials and affirmations. We still call them denials and affirmation. I don't like the word denial because it has a different meaning of being in denial. That's not what we're talking about. When we say denial, that's a letting go. That's a releasing. That's just simply saying, okay, this no longer affects me. This is no longer taking my power from me. I'm not giving my power to this thing. I'm taking my power back. And that's the affirmation. The affirmation is affirming, I'm one, I'm spiritually whole. I'm here to take my first step, my little step today. That's little step of gratitude. That little step of being kind and being compassionate. That small step of having self-compassion. And making that our daily practice. So as we begin to let go, we create space within our consciousness for growth, for that vision to take hold, for that vision and those thoughts to create new ideas within us, to create new beliefs within us, to create new habits within us. And it's just a gentle, easy step every day. You're not going to make the change in an instant. It takes some time, it takes some practice. And as you do, you're going to find the benefits. You're going to see how life becomes gentler, how you can breathe a little bit more during the tough moments. You can become the observer. Oh yeah, there's that thought. My intention is to stop it, but I'm not going to stop it. And there it goes. And now I can let go, and I can let God. And letting God is just allowing that love, that energy, that intelligence, that wisdom to come through you, because it's already there. So it's just allowing it and being aware of it, being present to it. Let's move to our affirmation. I'm going to read this and then invite you to affirm it with me. I am one with God's infinite supply. Abundance flows through every aspect of my life. Now, when you read this, when you affirm it with energy. Allow that, let go of whatever concern you have about whether other people think you're saying or what you might have to tell someone after church, what they make you do at the spiritual center. Just let it go and allow it to flow through you. Allow that energy to flow. You ready? Together? I am one with God's infinite supply. Abundance flows through every aspect of my life. I feel like we're warmed up now. Can you feel the energy flowing yet? Okay, good, because we're going to do it one more time. Take a nice deep breath. Together, I am one with God's infinite supply. Abundance flows through every aspect of my life. And so it is. As we move through this experience, we're here to live it fully. We're here to be a part of it. And if we let go of all of the attachments that we're holding on to, all of the old stories, and just allow that energy to flow, we will experience life through a more healthy, joyful, loving life. Let's take that into our time of meditation and affirmative prayer. I invite you to take a nice, deep, cleansing breath. and to close your eyes if that feels comfortable, or soften your gaze. With each breath, we let go just a little bit more. We let go of the struggles that we're holding on to, the yeah buts that we're holding on to, the I should havites that we're holding on to. Just let them go and allow this energy to flow with ease and grace. Focusing on our breath, we feel the breath flow in as the energy of Spirit moves in, through, and as us. As we exhale, we know that we are expressing light, love, wisdom, and joy into the world. Breathing in, I am one. Breathing out, love, wisdom, kindness. With each breath, we sink deeper into the experience of this oneness. Feeling the energy with each breath, knowing that God is breathing us. Any thoughts that come up, we simply bless them, and we allow them to drift by like clouds in the sky. And with each breath, we sink deeper into the stillness of oneness, into the silence. I am one with the infinite flow of life, love, and wisdom. The infinite supply of Spirit, the loving presence that wraps around me, the flow of love, peace, and harmony. This abundance flows through every aspect of my life now. I am whole spiritually. I am one in consciousness. I am the peaceful, beneficial presence in the world. From this endless supply of love within me, I send this energy out into the world. We surround each other in this love, this light, seeing each person lifted up to their highest potential, seeing each person letting go of those things that are holding us back. We send this love to our prayer chest, to all of the prayers that have come in online or in person, knowing that divine love is doing its perfect work in this very moment. If there's somebody who you hold in prayer, I invite you to say their name out loud or bring their name to mind. For all of the prayers that we hold in our hearts, we know divine love is doing its perfect work in every situation. We send this light and love out together into the world, blessing all of humanity around the globe, blessing all of creation, knowing that in this moment we are uplifting, rising the collective consciousness. And with this small step, I open myself to that joyful experience of Spirit. I give thanks and celebrate by singing the Alleluia.